Welcome to Stranger Connections, where I celebrate wonderfully weird people and quirky stories. I'm your curious beast and host, Lisa David Olson, the practically world famous business humorist, interactive speaker, and connection queen. So reach out if you want me to help reignite your team or event. Today, I'm going to chitty chat with a friend of mine who is no stranger to me, but I just couldn't say no to trying to get her on my show. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a young entrepreneur. She was practically born with a laptop in her crib. She is a studio owner and a real estate agent. Please welcome former boxer Stephanie Ross. Hello.
Thank you for the fabulous introduction. I definitely sound like a weirdo, which I'm really excited that that's like a proud thing that I can flaunt on this podcast. So thank you for having me, Lisa.
Yes, usually it's people I don't know, and that's why I'm saying, I had to still have somebody that I do know because we want to celebrate all about you. And first, let's talk about your journey into why I say you are a young entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I was super young. I will say, I feel like I've always been a little mini entrepreneur, even when I was a child. I grew up, charging my family to come to my performances and my businesses that I started. And so it was definitely encouraged from a young age. I think I've had that in me for a long time. But I grew up, both my parents were small business owners, so it wasn't really anything new to me to own a business. I always thought I would own a business, but I never thought I would start one at the age of 20. So I was a freshman in college and locally here in La Crosse. I was going to school to be a high school history teacher, but I had fallen in love with group fitness. So I was teaching yoga and kickboxing just for fun, a couple nights a week. At a local gym in Holman, where I'm from. And I was approached by a mixed martial arts gym about my classes. They had heard great things. They had a studio space upstairs that was open, vacant. They asked if I wanted to run my classes there and essentially rent the space. So I thought, well, why not? I'm kind of a, go for it type of personality. And so I opened up my studio in 2013 called Zen Pow. And I felt even more like a weirdo being a 20-year-old college student with a business. But that was really the journey into entrepreneurship for me. I continued and finished my degree at UWL, but I decided instead of going to be a teacher, I was going to give my business a go and just go for it full time. So within a year of graduating from UWL, I had outgrown that space. So about 4 years into my business, I was ready to take that next big leap and get my own space. So I really hadn't invested anything into my business up until that point because I was a broke college kid and I was just really passionate about what I was doing. So in 2017 was when I took my first big leap into my own space, got my first business loan, learned a lot. I was in that space for 2 years and I ended up having a really unfortunate experience with my landlord
Oh,
who kind of
man.
drove me out the door. And I always say everything happens for a reason. So I was only there for 2 years. I ended up in 2019 opening my next space inside of the Misty's Dance Unlimited building. And that was a bigger jump. So I tripled my debt, I tripled my loan, I tripled my stress, my payroll, all the things, which I knew going into it, but I didn't know that the following year we were going into a pandemic. So that was a huge risk that
Oh,
I took in
wow.
2019. Yeah. And then full circle, we made it through the pandemic. The first couple years, we pivoted, we did online live streaming, we did all of these things. And in the meantime, I actually started a coaching business for female small business owners called Small Business Sister Circle. All this to say, I realized through those almost 10 years of entrepreneurship that I actually loved small business ownership and teaching that more than even just fitness and yoga. So I full circle decided last year that I no longer wanted this big, huge space that I wasn't using. And it became kind of just extra stress. And I actually went back to my original space, a 700 square foot room inside of a mixed martial arts gym. And it was a really hard decision, but it was a really cool full circle experience that I had built up this business and this dream to realize that it actually wasn't what I wanted anymore. And so lots of lessons learned in 10 years of small business ownership. That's the long story short. If you can believe that.
I believe it, friend, because what it's telling me is the way you started going to college for one thing, and you listen to your heart. And too many people say, well, I've already invested this much time and money into this, so I better stick with it. And you're saying, well, you know what? I've tried it. I love that you at least try it, because I really have a hard time with college in the sense of I have a great respect for it, but I know plenty of people that have a 4-year degree, like my friend who did 5 years of psychology and ended up being a manager at Pier 1. And yes, I'm sure you use psychology in retail sales, dealing with people. Yet, is that really the dream when you have all this college debt? So to just stick with it because you think you should is not the way. And what was it like being so young and your parents watching from the sidelines and going, oh my gosh, she just tripled her debt and tripled her loans and tripled all these things? What is it like as a young person, and your parents want to help, but they also want to see you figure their own things out?
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, bless my parents. They have been so good to me and so supportive through all of it. And I am a very stubborn person. And when I get my mind set on something, I'm doing it. And if you tell me that I can or shouldn't, then I will do it harder. That's kind of just who I've always been. So, and they know that, but they've been really supportive even through the big jumps that I made. I still remember my dad telling me in the last space when I, tripled my debt and my overhead and all of that, that it was a big decision, and that's a lot of money. And I was young and very naive. I think I was like 26. So, imagine making some of these big decisions at a really young age. But my parents still trusted me to make good decisions and supported me. But I'm sure there were a lot of moments where they were, kind of gripping on, hoping that I would figure it out. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky that they were both entrepreneurs, so they know what it's like to not have someone believe in them. So I think that if anything, even if it maybe wasn't the best decision, they still tried to support me in whatever way they can. A side note of this too is while I was at the mixed martial arts gym many years ago, I trained and fought mixed martial arts. I had 2 MMA fights while I was there. And I think that they were more concerned about me doing that than my business. So they were like, if she just would, stop getting punched and kicked, we'd be really happy. So if you want to pursue your business full-time instead, we support that. So
it's true. Nobody wants to see their kid getting pounded. My background is karate, and my first husband is, my first ex, I should say, is still running a studio, and just like, oh man, he's done some of those full contact, and it's hard to watch, but you can't not watch. So I know where your parents were at too. It was one of my sons is a black belt. So you're just like, oh man, but I respect it. But yeah, it's like trying not to look at a car crash. But that, what would you say that now you've gone this full circle, what would you tell younger Stephanie that you see, or would you not change any of it? Because obviously that's the only way we learn and grow. You didn't do anything wrong, but is there anything that you wish older Stephanie would have given younger Stephanie a heads up about?
I love that question. And I ask myself this all the time. I always say I don't live with regrets. I never want to live with regrets. So I don't regret any of it because I wouldn't be who I am today without going through a lot of those experiences. I also don't think that I would be a relatable business coach if I didn't go through those experiences. I'm the type of person where I want to learn and be mentored by someone who's been in the trenches and has overcome that, or at least is a little bit further ahead than I am, but someone that actually understands what is it like to have, pennies in your bank account and you still got to show up. What is it like to deal with some of the like we call it entrepreneurial trauma of, your landlord suing you at 25 and trying to figure out what is going on. So I think that I wouldn't take any of it back, but what I would say to my younger self is to figure out what your version of success is, because I think for a long time I was chasing a version of success that I realized I didn't actually want. And it took me a lot of obstacles to figure that out. And I could have saved myself a lot of that pain and trauma and experiences. But again, I had to go through that. So I would say just figuring out what your version of success is and being okay with changing your mind. That was something I think I was gripping onto, this dream that I had, especially through COVID, when it was kind of being slipped away further and further. I was gripping onto a lot of the things that I had, and I'm still working through this right now as I transition a lot of areas of my life. It's literally like a letting go of a past version of yourself, which a lot of times we hold on to with this like tight grip because it's all we've known. And for me, it was like my routine. Like I taught classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Wednesday night. Like this was my life for 10 years. So to be okay with letting that go, and like, it's like a slow surrender, that, and giving myself grace through that. I actually just did a really beautiful meditation last night about like resistance. And it was like, see your resistance as a young child. And I envisioned this as like the younger version of myself. And then it was like, embracing that. And I had this vision of embracing my 20-year-old self and just being like, it's okay. It's okay to let go. Like that's not your life anymore. And it's not a bad thing, right? We think that change all the time is like this bad, scary thing, but it's really good too. So am just embracing that and letting yourself work through the emotions that come with that.
That's huge, because you did change and morph, and you probably thought when you got the bigger, better school, this is going to be it. This is the dream. And to be able to say, did that, now what? Did it. And you're not coming across as somebody who doesn't stay consistent, because you are, but you've also grown a circle or a group or a tribe of those people who have been with you through every single gym and pop up and fun things that you do. So if anybody hasn't done this, go on to Zen and Pow website and check out all the different activities, because it's not all about being that superbly physical person. And that's what I love about your school and your group. I joined in one of your hikes recently and made new buddies. I made new Facebook friends, and we had a blast. Everybody was at the same level of, wow, Stephanie called this trail easy. So we all banded together in our anchor with you, because it was actually, but it's like, oh, okay, let's get to the top. And it was wonderful. It really was, because there again, it wasn't just, let's all go for a hike. No, what Stephanie's version is, we're going to hike, we're going to chat, we're going to earn that view. And then we meditated with the beautiful view, and you led us through this meditation. That is something so hard for me to do on my own. And I know that that's much of your practice, is getting people to ground and relax, reset. Tell me how you got into meditation and how somebody who's not used to doing it might start.
Yeah, I feel like I love I'm very much like I live in the extremes, right? Like the Zen, the Pow, the yin, the yang, the let's hike and sweat and then meditate. So I would say for me, I discovered yoga while I was in college. I started with just really the physical elements that I love, the physical challenge. I'm super hypermobile, so I can do all the bendy poses, even though I don't do them anymore because they hurt me. But I've slowly grown to really appreciate the mindfulness. I would say my yoga practice now is way more chill, like very relaxing, very restorative, and just really getting people to connect back to themselves. So I actually learned a lot of techniques from one of my teachers who was really about getting people to ground into their physical state. So finding what we call anchors, and that could be a sound around you. It could be the physical ground. So you're anchoring to your hearing, your physical touch, the ground. It could be a sight, something you see. It could be your breath. All of these different senses, and then you finding what connects you to the present moment, and then just constantly coming back to it. So just like anything, it's a practice. I'm working on getting back into my own meditation practice because it's just like anything, when you're always leading other people, it kind of loses its flair. So trying to find that balance for me to still be lead those experiences, but then fill up my cup as well. So I've been using just different podcasts that I've discovered. Actually, my husband and I have been meditating together once a week. He still trains and fights MMA, and I told him that I really want him to focus on the mental side of the sport because I feel like he's really strong in the skill level and the physical attributes that he needs to excel and win. But I think a lot of things in life are more mental than anything. So when you can learn to control what happens in your mind, and even just being aware of your thoughts and then figuring out what to do with them, you can actually really talk yourself into a lot of things and overcoming a lot of things that you build fear around. So it's really like helped me in every area of my life.
That is incredible. And the things you mentioned about grounding and your senses and the touch, the sound, that type of stuff is what helps me. And that's why, like on that hike, you leading that helps me so much, because otherwise I'm like, a bird, I hear a train. Oh, that person next to me just sneezed or something like that. And I will, oh, groceries. I need oranges. So it's just so random, and everybody's head is that way. I'm not unique, but that's why, if people want to learn, there's so many free guided meditations as well. So that's a great way to try it. And you can't fail at trying meditation.
No.
There's no wrong or fail. But I think for me, I'm going to have to put it in my phone as an appointment, because otherwise I don't take the time.
Yep.
But that's a really good thing to do. So now tell me about, you have so many different facets under what you do. Soulciety, a community of women that meet to nourish their mind, body, and soul. Tell me about that.
So really what I discovered over the past couple years through COVID was not only were less people coming to attend things in person, hence why I didn't need this big fancy studio space that was expensive. But what I found was it wasn't even so much that people wanted to come together to sweat and work out. It was just being together in a community environment. So, some people might need to figure out a different exercise routine for them that works for them, that, not everyone can get together at the same time, like a group class. So, and I was ready to kind of evolve past just the studio experience. And I felt this calling on my heart to create a membership around not just physical fitness, but like you said, it's so much more than that. It's the community. And when I thought about what are all the things that have kept people either part of this tribe for 10 years or coming back over and over, they life gets busy and then they somehow venture back. And it was always the people. So I thought, well, if I could create this membership around not just physical classes, but coming together as a community and still having a health conscious focus in our gatherings, then I think I'd be filling a void for what people are really lacking right now. And we're so disconnected from technology, from the pandemic, that I felt like this would be something that people would really enjoy. And I love it because it's open-ended. We can do so many different things. We've done hikes, we've done cooking, we've done we're doing a book night, like just like fun ways to connect with humans. That's really what it's about.
So if people want to join, they just go to your Zen and Pow website. And
Yep,
I think it's
zenandpow.com.
a monthly kind of membership thing.
Yeah, so it's a monthly membership that's all inclusive, or we do drop-ins for most of our events too. So you can just check them out.
Very cool. And now you have another facet. There is a podcast I've heard about, Soul Driven with Steph. So why should we listen?
I love podcasts. It's something that I started a year ago just for fun, because I'm the type of person that's like, I don't want to be bored, I'll start a podcast. Always looking for something to do and something that's purposeful. So I love listening to podcasts. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy interviewing people. Like, I think it's one of my favorite things that I do, actually. And I don't even do it for money. Like, it's not a paid thing, right?
Right.
It's literally just for fun. But I learned so much. I learned so much from the guests, from the conversations that we have. I really enjoy getting below those surface level questions. Like, that's the soul driven part, is figuring out what drives people's soul, and just having more almost spiritual conversations, something that you probably wouldn't do just in an everyday environment, and being able to then share that. I'm a teacher at heart, I think. So sharing that information with as many people as possible. And I'm like, what better way to do that than a podcast?
Nice. And you're also a pretty great networker. So that's the great thing as well. So people should listen, because you just never know where your next idea, friend, or advice comes from. And definitely inspiration. I would think that. So then I don't know if I invited you to the summit thing I'm doing in September, but you should come. It's a Sunday in September, and it's the first Women's Wellness Conference. You should be there. It's the Mind, Body, Soul Summit. Oh, wait, it's yours. Let's talk about that and invite people.
Yes. So like I said, I've had this calling to bring together communities of people. And I really do feel like we have so many amazing resources in our local Cooley region community for women's health, wellness, connection, and there's nothing that will ever replace being in person with people. So I think that just being in that room lifts everyone's energy up. We get in this bubble of positivity. So it's really going to be a unique experience. I have been waiting for someone to do an event like this forever. And then I finally decided, why don't I just do it myself? You know, it's one of those things where you're like, you're waiting for someone else to tap you on the shoulder. And then you're like, epiphany, I think this is meant for me. It was, you know, it's an idea that I have. So just following that, we have an awesome lineup of speakers. You are one of them. Yeah, it's going to be so great. We have everything from like the mind, the body, and the spirit topics. So we have mindset. We have a mindset coach to talk about why your thoughts are not facts. Something revolutionary that can completely change your life experience. We have the body. So we have a doula, a midwife, and chiropractor talking about core and pelvic floor, empowering through that. We have the spirituality soul part of it, with a dear friend of mine who's speaking on tuning into yourself and your own soul journey. And we also have you bringing lots of fun and humor. And then we also have a naturopath talking about hormones, and something that women immensely struggle with is getting those hormones and your gut in balance. So we really do have a variety of speakers and topics, and it's really just going to be an amazing day for self-care, filling up your own cup, and connecting with other women.
You know, we rarely will treat ourselves as good as we treat our cell phones, which we have to reboot. We have to set it down. We have to recharge it. We have to upgrade certain things. That's what we can do on Sunday, September 17th, because you really did touch all the topics, and it's a few hours long. It's not just this quick in and out, and you are going to make new friends, probably new
Yes.
business connections as well.
Totally. Oh my
That's-
gosh, totally.
So self-care is not selfish. We all know it. Now we got to do it. So get your bestie together and hurry, because I know as of right now, there's only a few spots left. So we want to get that connected. I need to ask you, Miss Stephanie Ross, is there a dare or a prank story that you have, one that you've done, had done to you, anything like that that you want to share, or that I'm making you share?
Yeah, you're making me.
I am
I had to
making a
think
twist
about
arm.
it. Like I said earlier, I'm the type of person where if you tell me I can't do something, I will try to prove you wrong. So, a couple years ago, my husband and I were working out together, and if you don't know him or me very well, we are very competitive, like two alphas, constantly trying to compete with each other, but it's fun. So we were working out together. We do like plyo boxes, you know, and they go up in height. There was a box that was probably, oh my gosh, at least 3 feet.
So like you're
Probably
starting
more.
with a step, and then you might go
Yes.
to a box that's a foot high, and so on. And you're
Yep.
supposed to jump on the top and then jump back down
Yes.
so gracefully.
Right.
Like I can't even walk upstairs without tripping, but somehow you and Ben are able to do these things.
We're jumping. Oh yeah. And he's got a great vertical. So he's taller than me, right? So he can jump very high. And we jumped on that, and we were jumping over the boxes.
Oh wow.
And we got to the I know. We got to the highest box, and he looked at me and said, "There's no way you can jump over that." And I was like, "Watch me."
Hold my beer. Watch
And
this.
yeah, I should have had a beer. Yeah, totally biffed it.
Oh.
I mean, I tried, but yeah, there was no way that was happening. I don't even think I'm tall enough to jump over that. But totally tumbled, spiraled. Thankfully, I was on wrestling mats, so I was not injured, but I don't know why I attempted that. It was solely because he dared me.
You do know
And I
why.
tried to prove him wrong.
Exactly. You'd rather try and fall than to say, I can't, I'm just a girl.
That's why. Yes, I would rather try and fail than be, okay, yeah, I can't do it.
Steph ain't no quitter.
I'm not.
What are you able to do that Ben can't do?
Oh, many things.
Talking smack because the boys aren't here.
Yeah, right. Probably a lot of stretches and
Right.
meditation, like just like some more like, Zen things.
Sure. He might jump over buildings, but he can't just sit still. So there's that.
Yep.
Take that, Ben, in your face. Please don't let him hear this.
I'm gonna share it with them.
All right, where can people find you, and where can they okay, I'll guide this. Where can people find you, Stephanie? Because there's a lot of stuff for you.
Yeah, I actually have a main page, Stephanie Lee. That's LEA Ross, ROSS.com. If you go to that, all my businesses are listed there. So you can find my real estate, you can find Sister Circle for if you're a small business owner, and you can find links to Zen Pow Soulciety. So that's probably the easiest way as far as a website goes. Otherwise, I'm pretty active on Facebook, my personal page. I love connecting with people on social platforms. So Stephanie Ross and Stephanie Lee Ross on Instagram.
On IG, and then Soul Driven with Steph is the podcast.
Yes. Don't forget the podcast. And the podcast is on all of my websites too. So you can find it on any of those. But yes, I would love for you to listen to more soul driven conversations.
What's your next project we're watching for? Anything? Maybe a book?
I'm like, I don't even want to put it into words.
Are we going to say this to the universe?
I don't know. I've always said I'm going to write a book. And I think it's something that I don't want to put a deadline on or like make it
you don't have to.
make it a pressure thing. So eventually there will be a book at some point. I would say the next thing for me is more personal, like more just enjoying my personal life. My husband and I are finally doing our honeymoon this fall after 3 years of being married. And just like
Wonderful.
yeah, just enjoying some of the pieces of my life that I've been clouded with business and stress for the past few years. So more personal time with family, hopefully starting my own family soon. Yeah, I would say that, and then just continuing to evolve and follow wherever that takes me.
I love it. And if people need a house or something, or they want to sell a house, is that a separate
Yeah.
website or is this all together?
Then you can reach out to me personally. Yeah, you want to sell or buy a house or a business, I can be your gal for that too. Yes.
Fantastic. I'm so glad I know you, and I'm honored to have chatted with you, Stephanie Ross. So remember that we can only be strangers once, and I invite you to stay weird.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.